guys. I'm super excited to welcome you to this month where we discuss the stress series. So, this is quite dense, but yet not huge work to do. I mean, there is a lot of work, but I think we will get through this pretty quickly. And especially when it comes down to the stress, and I mean, there are so many topics to cover. So, I just wanted to use this time that we have together to really optimize the impact and the bang for your gut. So today's topic is about balancing stress and difficult emotions and to lighten up the load. That's really how we want to go about it. We want to improve, the way we deal with stress, especially now in this period as we enter in Q4. And a lot of organizations are trying to hit the targets, and you're really trying to maybe finish the year strong. Perhaps you forgot some tasks and some goals. So let's get into it and let's have fun and let's do it in a resilient way because that's who you are. You're a leader, and this is who leaders are. They are strong, they are resilient, and they always find a way. So what can you expect today? So we will have three kind of parts this presentation, and first is we're going to talk about emotions, which is a huge topic for all of us, feelings, acceptance. Then we're going to talk about resilience, which is my favorite topic, being anti-fragile, which is a goal, how to deal better with yourself, how to deal better with obstacles. And then third is juicing up your life, how to kind of take it to the next level. So take notes, if you can't write, if you're writing, if you're driving, or if watching this somewhere where it's inconvenient for you to write notes, think always, how would that be applicable for you? How can you apply it? But ideally you are making notes. So let's get to it. So emotions, as you can see, emotions are super colorful. They are bringing you everything and anything in life. It can be good moments, it can be bad moments. And the question is always, what is our story? Because we are all emotional beings, even we don't always admit that. And there are different tests, obviously, to find out, whether you're more rational or more emotional. But we all, in the end of the day, decide a lot of times based on emotions. And I want to ask you, what is your story? Because obviously we are a little bit post-pandemic. Some countries still deal with pandemic or are afraid that the pandemic gonna come again. But in between, especially here where I'm based in Europe, we can see that there is a lot of turmoil, especially because of the war in Ukraine and also because of the prices increasing. And you see the tendency of people, the emotions are fluctuating. And obviously then you have the normal stuff like our, lives where maybe we get sick, our partner gets sick, or our child is not getting good grades at school. So you have a lot of things that you need to deal with. And I think the always thing to go through, especially if you go through that period, is to be courageous and to be bold. So one thing that I learned in my life, and also the people that I mentored or people that I met, because it tends to happen to me a lot, if people come to me and ask, hey, can you give me advice about a relationship, about a friendship, how do you deal with it? I figured that sometimes you can't really give the pointed advice, but what you can always do is really assess your emotions, assess your reaction. And oftentimes the way we react in certain situations have to do how our emotions are stored inside. So I always, and I mean, I figured this along the way because I always used to, when I was a kid, try to push the emotions away rather than deal with them. And now I figured, okay, that's not always the way. You should actually deal with the emotions. You should really go after it. Make sure that you understand what's going on. So go deeper, dig deeper, be uncomfortable, get your hands dirty, and don't always try to push the emotions away. Just try to understand, why they're coming up. It will be messy a bit. You will need, and this is the point of this slide, you will need to give yourself some space to digest this and to make the difference, between what is actually worth your time thinking about and what you can actually solve. Because oftentimes when we act inappropriately in some situation, and that's sentence I borrowed from Robin Sharma. He says, when it's hysterical, it's historical. And I totally agree with this because I saw it in my life. I saw it in people's life where they act in a way that is not aligned with who they are as human being. That means there is some part in them which is unsolved. And this is a huge part of a resilient hero and a leader to be in control of yourself, but understand yourself, because a lot of people will push your buttons. And oftentimes it's just because, they show your strength and weaknesses. So make sure as a leader that you understand and you do the work for yourself. And now I want you, just in the time, if you have a pen or paper, and if you think, for yourself, what are you doing? What is one negative emotion and maybe situation that triggers you? Maybe it's your boss, maybe it's your partner, maybe it's just the fact that you need to take out the trash, or that you ask your partner to take out the trash and they don't do it. What is it? You can think of multiple situations, multiple emotions if you want, but think about it. So I give you now a couple seconds to do this. All right. So let's keep moving and then you can finish this exercise, but make sure that you really assess for yourself what emotion and what situation triggers you. Let's move to resilience, because this is a big part. As you can see, the initial part we were talking about how you can kind of identify emotions and how you can get hold of them. Here it's really about what you can do as a leader, as a awesome kick-ass leader who, maybe you're a individual contributor, but perhaps you have a team, and even if you don't in an organization, probably there are some communities or some tasks you're doing where you actually apply your leadership skills. So when you imagine all the emotions, now we're coming to the point of being a resilient leader. So how do you do it? You need to be, in control. Or in general, this is how I imagine myself. This is how I imagine people that I've seen and that I admire. These type of characteristics that they have, despite when everybody around them breaks down. So resilient leader is in control. Somehow, somewhere, they dig deeper and they find way to be in control in the situation. They're competent. They know, and if they are, don't have the skills, they find the skills or delegate it. They are trusting their judgment. They make sure that what they do makes sense to them, but also to the environment. They accept that things sometimes take time. They are patient, but they also accept that making mistakes is part of the game, and that we will need to improve as we go along. And also they have faith. They have faith in themselves in the long game, especially playing through hardships and obstacles and storms. They always find way to make it better for themselves, but also for their team. So this is something I want you to think about. What is your model and how do you deal with it? And if not, then you can apply this. Start thinking, okay, how can I be better, more in control, more trusting my gut, my feeling, in my ability to figure things out, and how I can have, the belief that I can succeed over a period of time with the right time, skills, and resources. So now we are getting in the final part, and I just want you to again do a little mental rehearsal what we went through the emotions that we deal with every day to being a resilient leader. And now how can you take it further? Because we live in times that are super turbulent, and I don't know, I have a feeling, and not that I want to be a bearer of bad news, because I'm very optimistic and very positive. I feel that the next decade is gonna throw at us a lot of different challenges, and we see it now in Europe again, and also individual lives are sometimes, hard, and we need to make sure that we juice up our life and that we find ways to reward ourselves for our efforts. So one thing that I want to tell you, and this is something I didn't include actually probably in the presentation, is really appreciate yourself. I've seen it with myself and I've seen it with colleagues, and a lot of people that are high achievers and strivers, they don't appreciate themselves enough for what they do. Those micro wins and micro achievements, please reward yourself, whether it's, pat on the shoulder, whether that's just buying yourself something healthy, or, just telling yourself, hey man, well done, or asking, somebody you love that what they think about you. Really collect this, because we are so good at beating ourselves up and not so good at rewarding ourselves. So Stephen King says you can't deny laughter when it comes and plops down in your favorite chair and stays as long as it wants. I think laughter, it's one of the strategies that I want you guys to improve, but include more in your life. Maybe you're already laughing every day, and this is what I'm trying to work on as a leader, to be more, positive, because I tend to take things seriously and just want to, achieve my goals. But having fun is ultra important for your life. It just brings this different energy and different fun in what you do. So sometimes how you can do this is really sharing something silly about yourself. It can be even when you are not in a company of other people, thinking, silly about yourself or acting silly when nobody sees you. And it could be a moment as well that reminds you of who you are as a human being. Second, don't take yourself too serious. This is a point for me sometimes, and this is what I remind myself lately a lot about things that I try to change in my life or improve, or when I'm thinking about myself or about people that I know they struggle with similar thing, about improving certain areas, that I need to give myself some grace and some time, because sometimes we are looking up, and where we come from, I guess you have probably a different background than mine, but wherever we come from, we need some time to adjust, right? We need to some time to learn skills. And there is also a while back, I wrote this post and I found this article where I think it was from McKinsey, if I'm not mistaken, where they're showing how the evolution of persons until your 20s you're studying, then from your 30s you're kind of trying to figure out, from your 40s you are already kind of getting there. So we really need some time to figure things out. And luckily enough, thanks to science and progress and technology, I think we're going to live longer than what is expected and what used to be a habit 50 years ago, which is amazing. So a lot of you going to be around, a lot of us going to be around probably until our hundreds and beyond, if not 700, as Steve Aoki says. So there's really great stuff happening in the science and health space. If you are interested in that, just reach out. And watch TV with your partner as a third point. This doesn't have to be necessarily TV. This can be, watching a YouTube video. This can be just listening to a podcast, having fun, just going for a walk, but spend time with somebody who understands you. And sometimes, and that's also something I didn't include here, getting a hug from your partner, or giving a hug to your partner, or, getting a hug from a friend is super powerful. People underestimate the power of physical contact and how it makes us human beings very relaxing and very relaxed and very focused and just being present. So try to hug more your partner, kiss your children, and really enjoy time. Fourth point, surround yourself with funny people. One thing that it's funny, just to give you a little anecdote, with my girlfriend, we traveled to Portugal where we met this wonderful couple from Canada. And one thing that basically they said is they designed this little cooking evening where they invite people from the neighborhoods. And the best requirement they have, or one requirement they have, that people have to be funny. And I haven't heard this before, but I really like the way they describe it. And there was also this particular couple that didn't get invited just because they weren't funny enough. And I think this is something we need to realize more and more in our lives, that having this courage to decide which people will be in our lives. And this point about, you're the summary of people you hang out with. I'm butchering a little bit the quote here, but you get the point. We are really how and what people we hang out with, what we hear, and how we speak. So if you hang out with the wrong people, you're gonna get the wrong impressions. If you hang out with funny people and people that are optimistic, you're gonna get a different life outcome. I can tell you, I've seen it in my life, and life without drama and all these things that we don't need is way easier to handle than if you have that plus 10,000 things. Help others. Don't take yourself too seriously. person that a superhero and a leader like yourself, it's obviously one thing to figure your things out, but it's also about helping others. And one thing that I tend to find is when I am amidst a storm, I find I find it so peaceful to reach out and help people and to be, helpful. And try that sometimes when you are, difficult, especially when it comes to stressful situation. I remember the other day we were volunteering when the war with Ukraine started, and then there was just this moment when people are running around, and I just stepped in and I thought, yeah, I can handle this, I can figure this out. And it's just so cool when you have this confidence that and you help people and you're like, yeah, what do you need? And it's just quite simple, but just need to trust each other and help each other. One thing that I want to also encourage you guys, and I know this is probably the last point from the laughter, I just wanted to give you some outside ideas. It's to find something humorous in something that is serious. And again, I'm talking to myself, where I see it with my projects and everything. I'm like, oh, this and deadlines, and it's really about just having fun. Like we spend, it in the pandemic, so much time in Zoom meetings, in Teams meetings, and sometimes you're back to back in calls. To see it all the time with my partner, with my friends. You're exhausted, and sometimes just sending something silly to your colleague and being caring and asking people to how they are, it just can make a world of a difference. So this is what I want to encourage you guys to really think of. Do you have enough fun in your life? And if not, then it's quite easy to fix. Maybe watch some video, but just set a reminder in your phone and make sure that when that goes off, then you're like, okay, now I gotta laugh. I have also this silly reminder in my phone, now stop, dance, and laugh. And sometimes I did it a couple of times in front of my friends or partner. They're like, what the heck are you doing? So just do it. Just do something that will bring you back to the center of the best of who you are. To conclude, it's all about you. As much as we want to help the world, as much as we want to make this world a better place, because that's why we are here. We want to take the tools and learn to deal with stress more effectively. But it's really about you. If you don't have yourself figured out, and I mean, again, I don't tend to pretend that I have everything figured out. I think this is a life journey. But one thing that I really did early in my life, from, probably early before my 10th years, um, I started focusing a lot, spending time journaling and with myself and thinking about problems, thinking about how would I solve this, and emotions. And so really in the last more than, 25 years, I can see how different I'm thinking and how mature I have become just because I took time to take this serious, the basics, to understand myself. And again, there is so much more to figure out, but I feel that wisdom and maturity that comes from this, people underestimate. So again, I want to encourage you in this chapter, in this last few 3 slides or so, to do that. You need to accept that you have to be happy with yourself by yourself. So that's the lesson number one. You can be happy with everything. You can be happy with the cars, you can be happy with the bags and all the expensive bank accounts, or that you're good looking. It's great, and I mean, you should be happy. But that thing is what will make you and give you the self-worth is really what Tom Bilyeu talks about. It's that you get stuff done, that you try to stretch yourself. Because if we are just coasting through life, I can tell you, we're never going to be satisfied, because we are conquerors. As human beings, we know we used to travel, we used to explore, we used to forge, and we settled for this sophisticated society where we are just sitting in front of the computer, and that's our happiness. But that's not what we need, and that's not what will satisfy our souls. So make sure you seek what is your path. Know also that things can be way worse. Again, I'm not a bearer of bad news, but I just want to remind ourselves, and COVID brought that, the war in Europe, or beyond the European borders, reminded us that life is perishable, that we need to take things serious, and we need to be alive. A lot of people that I meet are not alive, and not to judge, but that they are, not really, they're too comfortable. And it's fine to be comfortable, but we need to remind ourselves that life is a game. It's it's something that should bring us further and that should make us better. And as there, Jersey Gregorick always says, my favorite quote: "Hard choices, easy life; easy choices, hard life." So if you make more harder choices, your life will be better. That's what we see with President Zelensky. Again, I'm not into politics much, but I'm into heroism, and that's what we've seen through war. How he stepped up and how he, you know, goes for the army, goes for the people, especially for the people, and that's beautiful. That's beautiful to see, and we haven't seen that for a long time. Somebody like that, especially on the front. It's all about talking. So I want to encourage you. We don't have to go in more, and we don't have to and hope that things will get better everywhere in the world, not just in Europe. Obviously, other countries have their wars and their struggles. I want to encourage you wherever you are to really step up and to, as this little slide talks about, to seek values, to have values for yourself, to have values for your family, and find the time to dedicate the energy to spread this word of resilience, of energy, make sure managing diseases and leading a heroic life, because that's what life is about. It's not about how many hours we work during the week, because that's what often I pride myself with, how long I work. But then, I get reminded, hey, it's about how many people you help and how you make this world a better place. So choose excellence. Try to be better every day, even one tiny percent better. Choose team spirit over your own kind of individual contribution. Make sure you play the high performance game. That means, you have some metrics you measure yourself on and against. Have some self control, because this is probably something that we need to remind ourselves more than ever, especially in the overabundance, so much food, alcohol, everything. So on that note, just to give you something practical, what I do, we just now do a diet where we eat no sweets, drink no alcohol, and eat no bread. Bread is killer for me because I love bread. I could eat it all day long, but I see also the allergies that develop with it. So milk products and stuff I try to avoid as well. And I can definitely see that just doing this, eating a little bit less than overeating, it's such a powerful self-control mechanism that gives your body, even if you want to eat, if you're hungry, you're like, hey, I have eaten, it's fine, we don't have to eat 150%. So there are small basics that I feel like as human beings we just don't follow on, and we don't really honor. We just always looking for the best quick pill, especially myself, because I come from bodybuilding and I competed as well. I know there's a lot of times where I looked for the quick pill to how I can become big, how I can slim down and have all my 8 pack. It's not how it works. It's just sometimes the basics. You just need to honor that, honor your body and honor yourself. So, guys, I just want to finish this really quickly to say thank you. I want to say thank you for being here and for being awesome listeners. I know you're probably very patient with my mumbling and rumbling. Please send me notes if you need or if you want to see other topics and how I could improve and what would you like to see more. I really appreciate it. There is so much potential for you. And this is also why I really believe that doing this time together, where you watch this at your own time at home or wherever you're on vacation, to really tap into what's important, which is resilience, which is becoming anti-fragile. I always use this, and this is why I want to end up this analogy that a tree that is resilient will bend in a storm and then come back. But tree that is not resilient will break, and it's hard to restore. I have this, and I'll talk about managing diseases or defeating diseases. Not many people like it because obviously I'm not a doctor and I don't promise anything, unlike advice and tools. And you have to obviously go to doctor and have your own wisdom to follow your own path. But what I tend to find from people that I met over my life, that a lot of high performers, but also those that are kind of not caring about wellness at all, they tend to get sick often. And I used to get sick when I was a kid, and it always bugged me. I was so annoyed because you're a week two in bed, and then the time flies. You cannot operate at this full potential. So I decided, hey, I don't want to be sick at all. Is there a way that I don't never gonna be sick? So obviously, I got sick a couple times still in my life, but I must say it's improving from year to year. I think the last time I got sick this year was obviously COVID, which was quite intense, somewhere in January. But since then, I'm keeping normally about 2, 3, 4 years without any sickness, which is amazing. And it's not a secret. It's just honoring your body and listening to your body and avoiding things that are poisonous for you, which I don't always do, but sometimes I would say 80, 90% of the time I do. And I'm focused on cleansing and stuff. So now I derailed a little bit from the presentation, but I just want to tell you this is also why you're here. It's not just one thing that's gonna fix it. It's the staple of things. When you multiply the efforts one at a time, your life will get better. That's what we talk about with stress. As a hero, you need to understand your emotions. You need to understand why is it happening. Then you need to talk really to yourself about what are you gonna do as a leader in terms of the model, being competent, being strong, being having faith. And then also it's about how you can lighten up the load, because even if you are resilient, even if you have the skills and if you cope better, you still can be worn down, which happens to a lot of people, the death by 1,000 cuts. So make sure that you have strategies in place, you have great people to hang out with, and you stay awesome. So guys, thank you again for listening to my mumbling and rumbling and to this presentation. I hope that encouraged you in it, strengthened you, and gave you the energy that you need. And as I always say, make sure that you radiate energy, because energy you need for everything. Manage diseases and lead a heroic life, because without heroes like you, the world won't be better. We are 8 billion people. In a couple of years, we're going to be 10. So let's get cracking. We got a lot to do. Save the planet. Stay awesome. Bye.